Hi, and welcome to episode 26 of If This Car Could Talk. Danny here, and wow, do we have a sweet ride for you to enjoy today. This 2019 Dodge Challenger is an awesome car and is owned by one of the nicest car guys we've ever had the pleasure to hang out with, and one we are now proud to call our friend, Terry Hill. If you aren't a subscriber yet, that's easy to fix. Just hit that subscribe button in the lower corner of your screen and join this growing community of gearheads who not only enjoy a wide variety of cars and trucks, but also love to hear the human side of the car collector world. Now sit back, grab a cold drink, and listen to Terry tell you his story with this sweet late model Challenger. Let's go for a ride.
Hi, I'm Terry Hill. Own a 2019 Dodge Challenger wide body Scat Pack. My story starts about the time I was born. I was born in '64, and you could arguably consider that the beginning of the muscle car era. And grew up in a time where boys and cars were synonymous. You just grew up around cars because that's what your dad did, and that's what your friends did, and it was the late 60s and early 70s, and everything in life was about everybody's car. So I started hanging out in middle school. They called it junior high back then, with a couple friends. We grew up together. We ran around together. We grew up together. When we got in high school, Vince had a '69 Javelin. My best friend Chuck, he is a Mopar fanatic, like I am. And so we just started off on that, on that journey together. I've had a lot of cars. But how this one came about is pretty unique because I've always wanted a classic car. I've had a couple here and there, but it's the same old story when you're raising kids. You don't have the time or the money to do the things that you want to do with it. On my 44th birthday was in 2008. I decided, because gas was $5 a gallon at that point, that I was going to buy a motorcycle. And so I bought my first motorcycle. And pretty soon, we bought a 2016 Harley Davidson touring bike, brand new. And that's what we brought with us. And my wife and I enjoyed taking trips on it, and we just really enjoyed it. Moved down here, I was all excited about having good weather year-round to ride the motorcycle. Had it shipped down here, spent every week wiping the dust off of it, and we never went anywhere. I said, I'll tell you what, I've thought about this for a long time. I said, I'd be willing to sell the motorcycle, but I'm buying a classic car. And I said, I don't know what it is. I don't know if it'll be new, but I'm buying a hot rod. And she said, okay. So I arranged, sold the motorcycle, made some money on it, and started looking. And I was either going to buy something in the late 60s, early 70s, had to be a Mopar, or brand new, because they're just great cars. And so part of what I do for a living is I go in and help car dealerships, Mopar franchises, Chrysler dealerships, help them with their service processes. And so I was in this local dealer and doing my thing, and I walked back in the shop and I saw that car. And I immediately knew. They say when you are looking for a house that you know which one it is when you walk in the door. And that's the way it was with that car. I knew what I wanted, but I didn't know what I wanted. I knew the features that I wanted, but I'd never seen it yet. And I was going to go to Mecum, and I was going to go this and do this, and it just, I walked back to the shop, and I looked at the tech, and I said, that's my car. I didn't know it until I saw it, but I said, that's what I've been looking for. I said, it's a Hellcat with a naturally aspirated engine. It's $25,000 less, and it's perfect. It's the color I want. It's the wheels I want. It's everything. It's perfect. And I told myself, I said, well, you better either turn around and walk away or turn around and go talk to the general manager. Well, I slept on it all night and told my wife about it. Went back in the next morning early, found the car, made sure it was still there, and looked at it. Wrote down the stock number, and when the general manager showed up, I went and talked to him. 2 days later, I signed the papers. So that's really the story of how the car found me. It's more a story about me, my passion, my enthusiasm for cars, my love of the Mopar product, and that more than me, or more than the car itself. The car's only a year and a half old. It doesn't have much of a story, but I've got the story of how we're together. It's a car that I'll keep. And a matter of fact, eventually I want to get its twin, only in the classic version. I have put on a cold air intake, just the aftermarket cold air intake. I'm not a big aftermarket fan, but I found one that was really high quality and works really, really well and fits really, really well. I'm looking at a performance exhaust. I found out that MagnaFlow has just come out with, or not quite out with, a completely designed for the late model Challengers performance exhaust that is really high quality. So I'm looking into that. We'll see if that happens, but that's really, other than that, I mean, the car's perfect. I just love it. It's comfortable. It's the best driving car I've ever had. Honestly, you take away all the fun out of it, and it's still the best driving car I have ever driven. And I'll tell you, I've driven hundreds and hundreds of cars, and it went to the number one. It is by far and away the very best driving car I've ever driven. It's comfortable, it's powerful, it's perfect. I've taken it on some shows. I got hooked up with this crazy outfit, the West Valley Cruisers, and old Steve and Trina, and just fantastic people. The whole group is fantastic, and so love hanging out with them and showing it off, and we go back and forth between the Mopar fans and the Chevy fans and the Ford fans, and give each other a bad time, and it's just been a lot of fun. It's just, I'm really hoping that this winter we'll really have some good things to talk about and some shows to go see. But I just drive it. I put 5,000 miles on it the first month and a half I had it, so I drove it a lot and discovered that I probably better back off on that. It's a year and a half old. I've got just 11,000 miles on it. I enjoy cleaning it and polishing it and taking care of it. It'll last longer than a year and a half. Yeah, I'll keep this one for a while. Yeah, I'll have this one for a while. My father-in-law's into cars, so we, have a lot of fun. He's a Ford guy, and we won't hold that against him. We just have a lot of fun together. So it's been really, really good. A little bit about that particular color. That was a 1 year only 1970 color. That was one of what they called Mopar called high impact colors. And there were, it was the Hemi orange, it was the Sublime green, it was the plum crazy purple. It was, there was about 6 colors in there. They all had their color codes, which I've tried to remember. This particular one, the Dodge called it Sublime, Plymouth called it Limelight. The color code on was FJ5. The Scat Pack, back in the 70 version, was a grouping of cars that were high performance cars that Mopar offered. It was the Dart, and it was the Challenger, and it was the Charger, and it was the Super B, and they just had a grouping that were Scat Pack cars. They used this B as their little moniker. Okay, so Dodge has kept that trademark all these years, and the Scat Pack has now come out in the Challengers and Chargers, and so that particular model it's a Challenger wide body Scat Pack. Okay, and really the differences in that is just the naturally aspirated engine. So everybody wants a Hellcat because it's supercharged. Well, the Hellcats are expensive. The reason why this one really stood out and really was the car for me is that I really wanted a Hellcat. I wanted the power, I wanted the wide body, I wanted the color, I wanted the features, the suspension, the tires, and everything, and the only way you could get that is to buy the Hellcat. Well, it's expensive. And so when that car came out, it had all of the same features, all of the same underpinnings, tire wheel combination, suspension, brakes, spoiler, color, interior, technology package, everything is identical. It just doesn't have the supercharged engine. And that was fine with me. So I reached out because I'm a car guy, and all of these numbers thing and one of one and all of the thing that you hear about in the classic cars is such a big deal. In the 70s, it was all about the powertrain package. It was either one of two, because it was a 1971 Hemi Cuda that had Hemi 4-speed, rear end with certain gears, etc., etc. That's what distinguished the number of builds that they had. Today it's totally different. People don't pay attention to that, for one. And if they do pay attention to that, it's not engine transmission combinations, because they just take them off of a shelf. They're all the same. They're literally all the same. It's the technology package. Because I'm an enthusiast, and I reached out to the factory, and I actually found a guy and emailed at the Chrysler Building, FCA headquarters in Michigan. And I asked him, gave him the VIN number, gave him all the particulars, et cetera, and I asked him if they could find out that information. Well, unfortunately, they don't track that information specifically anymore. But he was able to give me enough information based on the color, the technology package, and the year and model, that he said in that color, with that particular technology package, which I think is really the stereo, that's really what I think distinguishes it, there were 6 built for U.S. market, and that's one of them. So I'll take that. 1 of 6 is pretty cool. It's just fun. I enjoy driving it from the driveway to the driveway. It's just fun.
Terry is proud of his current ride, as he should be. The color, the stance, the performance, the wheels, and his love for Mopar make this a fun story. As Terry says, it's Mopar or no car. The car isn't old enough to have a long story, but someday this Sublime Mopar will have plenty to say when asked what it would say if this car could talk. Watch for part 2 on Thursday, when we give you the story of these late model Challengers in more detail. Remember to hit that subscribe button and share this video with all your gearhead friends, or just someone who would love that Sublime color. Until next time, keep it between the ditches and be safe out there.